Okay, so for me now we're starting to get into proper Dumble territory. Yeah, now that's that really smooth overdrive that I was talking about. Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at whether a valve preamp can capture the Dumble sound. Right, so today we're going to be looking at the Kingsley Maiden valve preamplifier, and specifically the Maiden D, the one that is supposed to emulate the sound of the fabled Dumble amplifiers. Now, that's a bit of a tricky thing to do because the Dumble amps all sounded a little bit different, but there is this sense of what the Dumble sound is. To my mind, that's kind of two things really, and that's that it can be capable of these massive cleans, but also these searing overdrives. And the overdrive sound that it's famous for is a really smooth overdrive. So today we're going to be looking at it through a strat and also using a Gibson Les Paul and exploring the gain range that the Maiden has. Now I've paired it with the Kingsley Page, and this is the Kingsley Page DS, which is specifically designed to be the second gain stage for the Kingsley Maiden. So this together makes the preamplifier sound of the Dumble. But first let's have a look at just the Maiden on its own, which is a very clean, pristine, high headroom preamplifier. Okay, so I've actually had this preamp about 2 or 3 years now, and so I've really got to know it. And these are the settings that I would typically use for that really clean, pristine amp sound. This is without any reverb whatsoever. Now what I usually do is I stick on a little bit of reverb from the Kingsley caverns. Now to me that's got a very kind of open Fendery tone to it. It's got a lot of high headroom and it's really, really pristine. Let's have a look at what the bright switch does. At the moment I've got it in this completely top position. Let's take it down to the other extreme, right down at the bottom. So you can see why I had it in the top position. For me, I like that pristine, clean top end. So for me, that's very muddy down at the bottom. In the middle should be something a little bit more balanced. Yeah, that's much nicer, but I can't get away from that searing top end, so I tend to put the bright switch on. And this does very much act in the same way as a bright switch on a Fender amp, really. It sounds very, very similar. So you can see that I've got the master and volume levels set at about half and about a third. So it is capable of going much beyond that. Let's take the volume right up, but I'll keep the master down. And we'll see how much gain is actually on tap. It's really not very much. It is designed to be a clean preamplifier. even with that bright switch on, that does feel like it's starting to get a little bit muddy. So that's why I've usually had the volume right down. So if we keep it tempered somewhere in the middle, that seems to get the nicest, sweetest tone to it. And the master is capable of going a lot louder than that. Let's take our preamplifiers down on the microphones. Now, where we decide to set this master is really important when it comes to using the Page DS, because the Maiden is designed to push into the Page DS and make the Page DS cave in. That's how that second stage works. So you have to have that master up enough to push into the Page DS for the Page DS to overdrive properly. I'll show you that a little bit later on. First, let's have a quick look at the EQ. So, really powerful EQ here. I tend to have this 2/3 way up, and the bass in the middle-ish. Bass a little bit down. It's interesting. It does have quite a lot of bottom end. I'm actually going into the power amp of a Marshall Origin 20, and when I first plugged this in, the difference was unbelievable. I thought the Marshall Origin 20 sounded kind of quite small and boxy because of the smaller speaker that it has in it. Lots of reviews that I'd seen of it said that. And then when you actually remove the preamplifier from the Origin 20 and replace it with this, it gets huge. The amount of bottom end in the power amp that is capable in the Origin 20 is massive. So it's nothing to do with the speaker whatsoever. It's all about the preamp in the Origin 20. And the Maiden has a huge amount of bottom end available. Take the treble right up. Now what I tend to do is just set this and leave it, and then what you've got is an EQ lift and a mid-boost circuit as well. It really is kind of a Swiss Army knife of loads of different tricks in this preamplifier. So let's see what the mid-boost switch does. Take it right down to the bottom. So I tend to have that in the middle. Again, that middle ground tends to be the best place for the Kingsley Maiden. The next trick to show you is the EQ lift. This foot switch on the left hand side here controls this here. Now I've actually got this set quite low, which means that I'm going to get a boost in the signal, but it's not going to be a huge boost. Now this is really useful for kind of solo boosts or for pushing even further into the Page DS to make it overdrive more, which we'll look at later. For now, let's just have a look at what it does. So it's lifting out the EQ circuit and just letting the signal straight through, and you get this lovely boost. It is capable of a lot more. But for me at that point, again, it starts to get a little bit overwhelming, a little bit too much. You can have too much of a good thing. So that's the basics of the Kingsley Maiden preamplifier on its own, and you can see it's got a lovely, pristine, clean tone to it. But what is it designed to do? Push into the Page DS to give you that proper Dumble sound. The Maiden on its own, with the Page DS. So as you can hear now, we are properly overdriving. There's some real crunch on there. Just realised I've got the EQ lift on, so that's actually pushing into it even more than I was expecting. I did think that was running quite hot. So let's take the EQ lift off and see what that does. So it's giving it a little bit of bite, a little bit of crunch, but it's not overdriving too much. It's just, you can hear those valves working. Right, let's take that gain right the way up. Okay, so for me now we're starting to get into proper Dumble territory, proper Dumble sound, but really to get all the way there we've got to start pushing it even more. So I'm going to grab the Gibson Les Paul and we'll see how creamy it can get. Okay, so same settings. Yeah, now that's that really smooth overdrive that I was talking about. And you can hear the background noise is not bad whatsoever. It's really quite manageable, and we've got a lot of gain going on there. Let's hit the EQ lift and push it right over the edge. so we're now into really cream Dumble type tones when we're really slamming into that page, and we've got the gain on the page all the way up as well. Now there is a balancing act to go between these two, between the Maiden and the Page, especially if you're using it as that second gain stage. To get the volumes right is quite difficult, because you're using the Page to slam the Maiden to slam into the Page. Now what I tend to do is I tend to keep both of them on at all times, so that's my amplifier sound, and then all I do is then I stack pedals into it, so I'm not having to worry about how they interact with each other when I'm turning them on and off. I simply slam in more signal and more gain into the front of the Maiden, and then that in turn pushes it in front of into the Page. So they work beautifully together as these two preamplifiers, making one big cascading gain stage, and it causes this beautiful effect where you've got these lovely harmonics coming across, and this really smooth overdrive. So I'm really pleased with it. I can't imagine going back to anything else now. I don't use my Marshall Origin preamp at all. I only use my Marshall Origin as the power amplifier, and I cannot imagine going back to just a normal amplifier, because for me the Maiden and the Page working together is the sound that I've been looking for years. It's got that Fendery, Dumble-y kind of thing going on, and the fact that you can go from those pristine cleans all the way up to that absolute filth, but creamy filth, is just everything that I feel like I could need. Let's just quickly look at the different switches on the Page, just to demonstrate that, but I've got them in this mode for a reason. Take that off a little bit. So again, the highs on the Page, I've got that set as high. I like that top end, but you can take them off. Or have them set somewhere in the middle. But I do prefer it with them on. I just feel like in a mix that cuts through much nicer. Same thing with the lows. Let's take it back down. Middle. And to the top. Now that's not making as stark a difference, but it's handy to have just in case within the mix, and you end up getting lost. So there we go. The only thing left to do, seeing as we've done single coil and we've done P90 single coil, is to try humbuckers and see if that sounds any different. So that's the last thing I'll do before I leave you. Alright, so just the Maiden on its own. Stick on the Page. We'll keep the gain nice and high, shall we? Yeah, there it is, that lovely creamy tone, but I tend not to play guitars with humbuckers very much anyway. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope that gave you everything that you need to know about the Maiden and the Page working together to create that Dumble sound. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. Did I get close to that Dumble sound by combining those? Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.
Hi, Ashley here. Remember that I'm giving away a pedal to a lucky winner for every 1,000 subscribers.